Hello, my name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm here today to show you a fun fold card that is a panorama card. Now, we're going to make this card out of this cute Christmas paper called Reindeer Days. However, if you were watching my Saturday series called Simply Saturday last week, that was the episode where we made this card. I mentioned the Panorama card and I told you that I would be using these products. So let me show you that card. This was actually the very first Panorama card that I made. And I did use those purples, Blackberry Bliss card base, and that perennial lavender paper. And you can see on the inside when it opens up, such a fun card. It sits up really cute on a desk or a tabletop, and there's a place on the back to write a message and to sign it. So that was the card that I mentioned. In preparing for today's tutorial, I wanted to pull out some holiday themed products, and so that's why I chose this. We're going to be using stamps from the Reindeer Fun stamp set, which also does have coordinating dies. And also, as I mentioned, the Reindeer Days designer series paper. So let's talk about our parts. I'm going to begin with a Granny Apple Green card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5 inches of cardstock, and I have scored and folded down the center at 4.25. Then you need a piece of your main printed paper, and this piece measures 4.25 inches by 6. Now it's nice to note that that 6-inch piece, you can choose some of our designer series packages that start out as 6 by 6s because that's the largest piece that you'll need. Now this particular paper is 12 by 12, so I did cut it down. But if you have some paper that you think will lend itself well to this card design, the largest piece that you need is the 4.25 by 6. So that's good to know. We're going to cut this down, but I wanted you to see the whole piece to begin with. So we'll come back to that. Then I have a second piece of that same print. This one is 3 inches by 4.25 inches. Now I've got some contrasting but coordinating cardstock to my Granny Apple Green and my designer series paper, and I chose Pecan Pie, which is represented in the paper. I have two pieces that are cut 4 3/8 inches by 3 1/8. I have 4 pieces that are cut 4 3/8 inches by 1 5/8. And I have a piece that is 1.25 inch by 8.25 inches. And I did already make a score line down the center. That is at 4 1/8. So we're going to come back to that as well. I have a basic white piece that is 4.25 inches by 3. I have a scrap that I'll do some stamping and cutting on. And then I have a larger scrap that I went ahead and cut using the Nested Essentials dies. This is a die from that set of dies. All right, so what I like about this card is it goes together quite quickly. You do all your cutting and then you've got all your pieces, and then the card goes together pretty fast. And yet it is a fun fold, and so it looks fancy even though it was easy to create. So let's start with our gluing. I'm going to take that main piece, the small one, of my designer series paper and attach it to one of those Pecan Pie pieces. This is going to be the very front of the card. So it's got that little bit of pecan pie border all the way around it. Straightening out a bit. There we go. All right, and then this white piece is going to go onto the second of the pecan pie of that size. If I was going to do some stamping on this piece, I would go ahead and stamp it first before attaching it. That way, if you did make a mistake, you don't have to be upset about it because you can just flip it over and try again or replace the whole piece if necessary. If it's already glued down, then you've kind of lost the whole thing. So if you're going to stamp, stamp first. I'm not going to be stamping on this piece, so I can go ahead and glue it down. All right, next up, we're going to do, oh, I don't know if you hear it, I have a timer in the background going off that I need to stop or it will just continue. So hold on for 1 second so that I don't yell in your ear. Alexa, timer off. There we go. Now that won't keep alerting me during the whole rest of this video. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut this paper down to the sizes that we need. So as I mentioned, it's 6 inches across and we're going to cut it into 4 equal pieces. So each one is going to be 1.5 inches wide. So I'll put it in my trimmer right here at 1.5 inches and cut. Now, as I'm cutting these, I'm going to keep them in order from left to right. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so we're going to keep those in that order so that when we put our card together, the inside panel looks correct. All right, so with those 4 pieces now, I'm going to take the 4 pieces of pecan pie that we already cut to size and attach one to each. All right, so this is piece number 1. And 2. They just have a tiny little pecan pie border all the way around. All right, 1 and 2. Our third piece. And fourth and last. So when I made that first card with the purples, the perennial lavender colors, I had that product out on my desk because I had just prepared the video for Simply Saturday. So I'm like, well, I'll just keep working with this and I'll make the Panorama card. So I did, and it was super fun, very satisfying to complete that card. And then preparing for today, I really wanted to show you this cute paper, and wait till we get to the end. I have the cutest little reindeer die cut that I'm going to show you as well. All right, now I think we'll do our stamping next. So let's do that. I'm going to take that die cut shape that I already prepared, and I think I'll pull Real Red, which is one of the papers, one of the colors in the paper. And with Real Red, I will stamp that first word stamp. And I'm just aiming for centered. Often I will stamp first before die cutting the image around it. That way you're guaranteed to have it lined up in the middle. But usually when I'm teaching a card tutorial, I just want the pieces all cut out and ready to go. So this was already pre-cut. All right, then on that scrap, I'm going to stamp still with Real Red. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the Merry Christmas. Now this is going to get cut out with my paper snips. And because of the design of the card, which you're going to see when we put it together, I need to cut this apart. I don't have a good spot for that long of a greeting, but I still wanted the Merry Christmas. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. All right, so first I'm going to separate the 2 words. and then I'm just going to cut it out. And I do kind of want it, like I don't want it super straight, so I'm going to be a little bit curvy on the ends. Mary is, all of the letters in Mary are really the same height, so it doesn't give us much curvy options in cutting around this word, but you'll see how we deal with the S on that one. Okay, I want to round this off a teeny bit. All right, there's that. And then on this one, you can see that the R kind of drops below and the S kind of drops below. So I'm going to work with that and come in, drop a little bit under that R. Same thing, I'm going to curve around the S. All of this is in my way, so I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. Now I can get in there with my scissors a little bit easier. I just noticed, I hope I wasn't pulling back too far. I probably was when I was cutting some of that. I want to make sure I stay in your view. So if I did back out of view, I apologize. I'm going to try to do better. I'm trying to see what I'm doing, so I kind of want it closer to me, but this is working. All right, there we go. So there's our Merry Christmas, but split into two parts. All right, we are going to put the inside of the card. This is the fun fold part. We're going to do that next. Then we'll attach the words that we stamped and we'll put some embellishments on the card to finish it. So I've got this strip that I've already scored at 4 1/8, and I'm just going to go ahead and fold that. Then I'm going to take the right side of the strip, bring the edge right up to that center fold and press a fold into that. And I want to do the same thing with this side. It's easier, instead of trying to do it with my left hand, it's just easier to flip the whole thing around. Bring the edge of the paper to the center fold and make a crease there. All right, so now I've got this zigzag fold. Okay, take your card base, lay it out in front of you, and I'm going to have the center crease on my strip line up with the center crease of my card. Then I'm also going to kind of eyeball the space here above and below the strip. I want that as even as possible without taking time to measure it. All right, so I'm going to hold that in place. I'm going to fold this flap in like that and apply some glue. And then that piece is getting glued down. See right there, that is now attached to my card base. We're going to do the same thing with this end flap. So I'll fold it in, put my glue on it. My glue has like a little fuzz on it. I'm gonna have to take care of that. It's bothering me. And glue that part down. All right, so those two ends are glued down and the middle is not, allowing that fold to pop up like that. Okay, now we're gonna take those 4 pieces of paper that we glued onto the cardstock. So we have 4 panels and we're gonna glue them onto the center of the card. Taking care of that little fuzz on my glue. And we're going to keep them in order. So the first one is going to go on, and be a little bit careful here because the first and the 4th panel get attached fully to the card inside, and the 2nd and the 3rd one are going to be different. So don't get ahead of me right now and go gluing all your pieces down. All right, so I want this lined up between this crease and the edge of the paper. So right and left centered. And then also I'm looking for this space above and below the strip to kind of have it about as equal as I can. And then I'm going to lay that into place. The second one does not get attached to the card itself, only to the strip. So I'm just going to put my glue down the center of that little area of the strip and taking number 2, lining it up on the strip between fold and fold, and also lining up the bottom here and the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it down for a second, kind of take a look, see if I need to make any adjustments before really pressing it down into place. Oh, and it slid, which of course is what we want out of our liquid glue so that we can manipulate it a little. But when we want it to stick, we're ready for it to stick. So let me give that a moment to adhere. Okay, the third panel is the same as the second one. So a little bit of adhesive in the middle spot of this section, lining it up between crease and crease, and also the bottom of the panel and the top with the others. Get that one into place. And then the last one is quick and easy again. You can attach the whole thing. It will go over the pecan pie strip and right onto the actual card inside. All right, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 4 are glued down entirely. 2 and 3 are only glued to that little strip. And in doing so, we are able to get that pop up and fun fold effect from our card. Oh my goodness, super cute. All right, let's put the main piece onto the front. All right, that's in place. And then this piece is the one that goes onto the back, where you can either do some additional stamping and or write your message and sign your card. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. And all we have now are the words and some embellishing. All right, there we have it. Okay, let's go back to the front of the card where we're going to place this. And depending on your pattern, I think will determine where you put this. So you might want this lower, or you might want it higher depending on the pattern. This one could go either way. This way I'm gonna completely cover the little baby reindeer that's holding the string of lights and show that, or I'm gonna cover up the mom and the baby and show that. So I don't like my choices because the paper is so cute. But I'll tell you what, on this one, I will go ahead and attach it towards the top, because that purple card that I showed you in the beginning, the greeting was at the bottom. All right, and I am just going to use my liquid glue to attach this. The card is pretty thick with those panels in there, and so I'm going to choose to not add to the thickness by putting this greeting on with dimensionals. All right, that is now in place. And then I'll show you what we're going to do with that Merry Christmas. I just want to add it to the inside of the card. And so had we left it long, there would not be a good place to put it because the card needs to be able to fold and you've got these moving panels. So the reason that I split it apart is I'm going to add my words here, and they are fitting within the way that the card needs to fold with the panels. So that's why we did that. Let's attach Mary. And I like how this turned out because this isn't really covering up anything terribly important to my panorama scene. And then Christmas, I am going to let it stick out a teeny bit off of that panel. It's not going to hurt anything, but I wanted to make note of that so that I don't put any glue on the very end of Christmas behind the S. And it's going to go like so. Now the inside has what it needs in addition to that cute designer series print. And there we have it. Look at how adorable. All right, let's do a little bit of embellishing. So I did just grab these neutrals adhesive backed sequins because I wanted the white, but I was also curious about this brown. The brown would look really good too. So that's good to know, but I will stick to my original idea of using a couple of these white sequins, and I'm going to strategically place them onto the green parts of the card and not put any white on the white. So I'm going to come here, here, and here. No big rule to follow. Just put your little gems or sequins wherever you think that they look good. All right, so there we have our completed card. Now, let me bring in the purple version that I also made. I'll show you that one more time. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put a link here for you. I'll link it up here in this right-hand corner. Where's my finger? Right-hand corner. So that you can flip over to my friend and colleague, Cheryl. She's the one who did a card tutorial on this Panorama card, and I copied her. I liked her instructions. I liked how easily she laid it out. And I did find a few other card designs kind of floating out there that I didn't like as well. So I want you to be sure and go check out Cheryl's tutorial. The paper that she chose is just gorgeous, and especially on the Panorama, the way that her piece of paper flows is really, really beautiful. So I want to make sure that you get a chance to check out that video as well. Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this card tutorial. I really do appreciate it, and I'll put some helpful information for you below this video in the description box. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy stamping.